Hey everyone, so you're aiming for the ssc Cgl, right? We all know it's way more than just an exam. It's a life goal. And for so many of you, that English section, it just feels like this huge impossible wall. Well, today, we're going to start knocking that wall down.
All right, so here's how we're going to do it. We'll start by looking the challenge right in the eye. Then I'm going to hand you the actual blueprint to beat it. We'll dive deep into cracking grammar, building vocabulary the smart way, and then we'll talk about leveling up for Tier 2. And we'll finish up with the most important part, taking that very first step to success.
Okay, first things first, let's get really honest about this SSC English hurdle. Because, you can't really tackle a problem until you know exactly what you're dealing with, right?
So, let me ask you, have you ever just looked at that English syllabus and your heart just sinks? That feeling of being totally overwhelmed? If that's you, I want you to know you are absolutely not alone. It's a huge syllabus and it's totally normal to feel that way.
And look at this. The numbers here, they really tell the whole story, don't they? You can see the weightage for each topic in Tier 1 is already pretty serious. But then, look at that jump for Tier 2. It's massive. Vocabulary questions almost quadruple, grammar questions more than triple. This right here is why just winging it is not an option. You absolutely need a strategy.
But here's the good news. This is the game changer, really. For every big challenge, there's a blueprint to solve it. And for this one, it all starts with a simple shift in how you think, moving away from just trying to memorize everything and moving towards a smart, focused strategy.
Okay, listen up, because this is the secret sauce. This is what separates the people who crack this exam from everyone else. They don't just sit down and start solving old papers. No, they analyze them first. And you might ask why? It's because they're hunting for patterns. They're trying to figure out how the exam actually tests these topics, which is often very different from how your textbook explains them.
So it all boils down to this really simple three-step blueprint. Step 1, analyze. Deconstruct those old papers to find the hidden patterns. Step 2, break it down. You're going to split the syllabus into two big buckets, grammar and vocabulary. And step 3, which is probably the most crucial, prioritize. You put your energy where it's going to have the biggest impact, the high-weighted topics and your personal weak spots.
All right, let's put this blueprint into action with our first major hurdle, cracking the grammar code. And let me be clear, this is not about memorizing a giant, dusty rulebook. No way! It's about training your eyes to spot the few key patterns that the exam uses again and again and again. Check this out. This is a classic example. On the left, you see a common mistake they'll try to trip you up with. Hari and Ram is here. On the right, you see the correct version. When you see the error and the correction right next to each other like this, the pattern just kind of jumps out at you, doesn't it?
And this perfectly shows the rule in action. You've got two singular subjects, Hari and Ram, and they're joined by and. So, what do they need? A plural verb, are. See how that works? When you start with the example, the rule isn't just some abstract thing to memorize, it's the solution to a problem you just saw. Okay, here's another classic trap they love to set, this time with conjunctions. You'll see a sentence like, he not only lost his ticket, but also his luggage. It sounds a little off, right? A bit clunky. The correct way is, he lost not only his ticket, but also his luggage. It just flows so much better. But why?
Well, it's all about a concept called parallel structure. And the rule is actually super simple. Whatever kind of phrase follows not only has to be the same kind of phrase that follows but also. In this case, his ticket is a noun phrase, and his luggage is also a noun phrase. They match! Once you get this pattern in your head, you'll start spotting these mistakes from a mile away.
All right, let's move on to that other huge mountain, vocabulary. Honestly, sometimes it can feel like you're trying to learn the entire dictionary, right? Like emptying the ocean with a teaspoon. But here's the thing. The goal is not to learn every single word. The key is to build your word bank methodically, one smart step at a time.
So instead of just staring at random word lists, try this strategic order. Start with one-word substitutions. They're actually pretty interesting and help you build context. Then move on to idioms and phrases, because they often have little stories attached, which makes them stick in your brain. After that, you can tackle synonyms and antonyms by using tricks like root words and elimination. And please, whatever you do, don't forget spellings. They can be such easy points or such painful mistakes.
Now we have to remember, Tier 1 is just a qualifying round. The real fight, the one that gets you your dream job, that happens in Tier 2. And that's where that solid foundation you built in grammar and vocabulary is really put to the test.
Just look at that number,
35%. Think about that for a second. That's the weightage of English in Tier 2. We're talking more than a third of your total score. This section isn't just a part of the exam. It is, quite literally, the make or break factor that decides your final rank.
And let's zoom in a little closer. In Tier 2, you're looking at 45 questions. But get this, they're worth a whopping 135 marks. That's 3 marks for every single question. Every choice you make, right or wrong, has a huge impact. The margin for error here is tiny. And of course, the questions themselves get way more complex. You'll get things like cloze tests, where you fill in the blanks in a whole paragraph. That tests everything: grammar, vocab, context, all at once. Then there are parajumbles, where you have to unscramble sentences to make a logical paragraph. This is where all that foundational work you did really pays off. It's what lets you stay calm and solve these things under pressure.
So we've taken this big, scary problem apart piece by piece, and we've laid out a blueprint for success. But, a plan is just a piece of paper without action. So let's talk about the single most important thing: how you take that first step.
And this quote from Barty Mam really just sums it all up. The more you practice, the more better opportunities you get. Now, okay, as English students, we might say more opportunities or better opportunities, but the feeling, the spirit of it is absolutely perfect. Success isn't some magic trick. It's about showing up and doing the work, consistent, smart practice. Every single hour you put in, you're not just studying, you're investing in your own future.
Okay, so what are the big takeaways here? First, the English section is not some unbeatable monster. It's a system, and any system can be figured out. Second, analyze, don't just solve. Hunt for those patterns. Third, build your vocabulary with a method, not just by memorizing random lists. And finally, never forget that a strong foundation in Tier 1 is the launchpad that will rocket you to success in Tier 2.
So I want to leave you with a question, not a rhetorical one, a real one. What's the very first topic you're going to master? Don't just watch this and move on. I want you to actually think about it. Look back at what we talked about. Pick one thing, just one, and make a decision, right now, that you are going to own it. Because your journey to becoming an officer doesn't start tomorrow. It starts with that one decision right here, right now.